Lewis, obviously not the result you're looking for, but you do grab a point in this one. Just talk about the performance and your goal, please.
Yeah, we knew coming into the game it was going to be a hard one. Obviously, with the temperature and the altitude, it's something that we weren't really accustomed to. But I think when we look back on this, as long as we can follow this up with good positive results this week, it will be a point gained. Of course, we wanted to come here and get 3 points, especially after we go ahead, and I think we did have enough opportunities anyway to add to that, or even score before we did. But yeah, I think what will determine how good this result is how good the rest of our week goes. So we move on to Wednesday now against Montreal, and we know that's going to be a big one. And let's follow this up with a couple of positive results at home now.
Next, we go to Anthony.
Louis, you mentioned before about the altitude. Given that it's such a unique thing to come up against, is there anything different that you did in preparation for this game?
Yeah, we knew coming into the game that it was going to be a factor. So the performance staff here were keen to get good information to us this week in terms of nutrition and hydration, and then even things like the warm up, making sure that sometimes when you know it's going to be tough conditions, you maybe coast a little bit in the warm up and try and save some energy. But upon speaking to other people in the league, I actually reached out to a couple of players as well that had experience of playing here, and they were all saying make sure you really push it in the warm up, and that way you can get your second wind earlier. And I didn't really feel that the altitude was that much of an issue, to be honest, in the game.
Next, we go to Gary.
For the first 45 minutes, you were able to contain and control Colorado by basically narrowing the field, not giving these guys anything. Was that the major contribution in keeping their offense pretty much quiet during the entire match? Or did you feel it was something else?
I think that was just the formation that we'd set up in. Obviously, we came in with three centre backs, and the coach and the staff here decided that was the best way to go. And I think it actually worked really, really well. I think, like you say, we were able to contain them. They actually, Colorado, in fairness to them, done quite a good job of bringing their wide players really wide because we were jumping high with our wing backs, and it created a lot of moments where our centre backs had to shift, and I think we've done that well. And the goal's unfortunate, but I think all in all, like I say, I don't want to keep repeating it, but if we can go and we get a good positive result against Montreal and one against Cincinnati, we'll look at this and go, this was a really good point in a really tough place.
Next, we go to Dan.
Just talk about the goal you scored. Obviously, Cameron sprung Dante and he found you for the tally at the end of the first half. How was that for you?
It was actually something that we spoke about a little bit already in the first half. I was making sure to say to Cam and to Dylan, and then even to Dante as well, that when we were getting into the box, the cutback was on at the top of the box. I don't really think their sixes were doing the best job of tracking the late run. So, and then when Dante gets in those positions, he's as good as anyone I've ever played with in terms of finding that cutback. He's unselfish there, and to be honest, I couldn't really miss. So yeah, all credit to Cam and to Dante for getting in that spot, and like I say, having that little bit of calmness and presence of mind to cut the ball back as he did, and so I owe him one now.
Everyone, we have time for two more questions with Lewis. First, we'll go to James.
Thanks, Lewis. Congrats on the goal. For most of that match, you played, like you mentioned, with three center backs, but I want to ask you about from the attacking perspective with two forwards supporting the target striker. If that offered anything differently from the normal 4-2-2 shape that you're used to playing in, and if it didn't offer anything, why was that still successful in you getting a goal? Thanks.
Yeah, it's a formation I'm comfortable in as well, because I remember in 2022 it's something that we deployed quite a lot. So I think every single formation has pros and cons, and I think when you're playing against a back four in that formation, the two outside tens are sort of, you have a little bit more freedom. I think it's really tough for as long as your wing backs can stay high and pin their full backs back, it's tough for anyone to really pick you up in there. And I think we could have done a better job as forwards. I think myself and Cam in particular in the first half, we had a few transition moments and we were maybe a little bit too eager to play that final pass, thinking your eyes light up, when you see that you've got 1v1s or 2v2s at the back there. And I think we needed a little bit more patience, and then in the second half we didn't get as many opportunities. But yeah, it's a formation. The 4-2-2-2 has obviously been really, really good for us this year. And to have the 3 centre backs that we do have, to be able to have the flexibility to go and play those 3 guys and get those 3 guys in the pitch at the same time is a positive as well.
Everyone, I don't see any more hands. If we're all good, we'll let Lewis go on his evening.
Perfect.
Lewis,
Thank you guys.
for joining
Thank
us.
you.
We appreciate your time.